In some parts of the world, living without a car is pretty normal, and owning one is a sign of luxury and wealth. But in most parts of the United States, it's a necessity. In fact, most people in the United States start owning cars as soon as they get their driver's license, which is around 18 years old. And when a person gets used to being in a car for most of their life, a life without a car is hard to imagine. I sold my car in 2017 and haven't been behind the wheels in 5 years. It's easy to envision someone taking public transit like the subway on a daily basis from home to work or school and back. But since we're in the height of the holiday season, I wanted to show you what a carless holiday can be like. Granted, I do live in New York City, and lifestyle here is way different than lifestyle in, say, the Midwest, or even compared to other US cities like Chicago, Seattle, SF, and LA. The point of this video is to show you what life can be like if we designed our towns and communities in a way that's not reliant on everyone owning a car. This involves having mixed-use development, walkable neighborhoods, and abundant and reliable public transportation. To learn more about walkable neighborhoods, watch these videos. Link is in the description. So with all this said, what does a carless holiday look like? For all you non-Americans, a DD or designated driver is a person in your group who will voluntarily not drink so they can drive everyone home at the end of the night, since everyone else will be too incoherent to drive. Having a DD is important because driving while intoxicated is very dangerous, not to mention a serious crime in the United States. While it's important to have a designated driver, let's face it, it sucks to be this person. Parties and libations are abound during the holiday season. Between friends and family, work, and clubs and organizations, there's potential for tons of parties. In fact, there's a bit of a competition for the December weekends before Christmas. If you're throwing a party on one of these days, you'd have to throw a pretty awesome party if you want people to attend yours. With all that said, if you've been living in New York for a bit, one thing that's easy to take for granted is that you'll never have to figure out a ride home after a long night out. Whether you end up taking a subway home or calling an Uber or cab, you are never in danger of going behind the wheels or having to abandon your car for the night only to figure out how to retrieve it the next day. Whether you live in New York or not, lots of events are happening during the holiday season. Just watch this video. Things like shows, music events, and markets usually draw a crowd. Imagine driving to a place, say you're downtown on a Friday night, where your drive only takes 15 minutes, but you take another 20 minutes to circle the area to look for parking. Then, you end up finding parking only to add a 10-minute walk to the place you're going to. So that's a 15-minute drive, plus another 20 minutes to search for parking, plus another 10 minutes to walk to the venue. So that's a total of 45 minutes when the actual commute is a third of that. Without a car, once you get to your destination, you're at your destination. No matter what mode of public transit you take, parking is something you will never have to worry about. Despite having a small apartment, I love to host parties. And the holidays are a good excuse to have one. But hosting parties require a lot of grocery shopping. So how do you do that without a car? Some would argue that it's easier with a car, but that's only true if you're in a place where parking is easy to come by. In a large city, it's hard to generalize whether it's easier or harder if you own a car. It's just different. There are many ways to do a large grocery run in the city. There's calling an Uber or cab to collect you and your groceries. Then there's grocery delivery. And then there's the good old-fashioned use of brain fuel to strategically plan out several grocery trips, which is what I actually do with the help of a wagon. People shy away from the idea of using a wagon for shopping, but really in this city, it's no big deal. People around you are doing the same thing. And you know it's become a way of life when you start comparing your wagon to other people's wagon to see whose is better. But despite all the planning, sometimes you forget things and need to do a last-minute run. And that's when New York bodegas come to the rescue. Bodegas are New York's little convenience stores, usually part deli, and are scattered throughout the city. They'll have your emergency things from aspirin to ice cubes. Wherever you are in New York, there's likely a bodega within a 5-minute walk from you. And if you're lucky, you might run into a bodega cat. Do you know how dangerous it is to drive on icy roads? Annually, over 1,300 people are being killed on snowy, slushy, or ice pavements. So the upside of not driving is lowering your risk for being in an accident. But the downside of not having a car is you are out in the elements all the time. And in New York, it's cold. It's the hard-to-breathe type of cold. But you learn to dress for it, and that's what it's like to not have a car. You either become an expert at dressing for the elements, or you develop some leather-tough skin. But during the holidays, yes, it sucks to be out in the elements when it's cold to the bones, but the city is so festive right now. And it's the kind of festivity that's best enjoyed on foot. Especially right now when they're closing 5th Avenue to cars on Sundays. You'll see a lot of stores decked out and lights on display. And what better way to block a street than by using New York's finest garbage trucks? Open streets are awesome, and I wouldn't be surprised to see the city make 5th Avenue car-free again next year beyond just Sundays. So my best tip for a carless holiday is know how to dress for the cold, and the internet is rich with that kind of information. A signature sign of the season are fir and pine trees being sold on many corners of the city. Because of this, you don't really need to drive to a tree farm and attempt to tie a tree to your car, hoping sap won't ruin the paint or you don't get into an accident. The corner tree vendor in New York will set your tree up for you in its tray and wrap it up so you can carry it home or they can deliver. And when it comes to disposing the tree at the end of the season, the city will pick up trees curbside on designated dates in January. These trees will be turned into mulch for the city to use in parks and gardens. But trees from these vendors are expensive. But here's something to consider. The average cost of a new car is estimated to be over $9,000 annually. This includes registration, insurance, gas, maintenance, and car payments. And if you're in New York City, you might be renting a parking garage as well. So that's about $800 per month. From a broader perspective, paying $100 for a tree is not bad compared to owning a car. So that's what my carless holiday season looks like. If you also live a carless life, comment down below on how that affects you during the holiday season. Subscriptions do matter. It's how this channel gains clout so that it can continue to grow. And growth means more videos like this one. If you like this video, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell turned on. With that, thank you so much to all patrons of Urban Caffeine. If you're interested in supporting this channel beyond subscribing, check out patreon.com/urbancaffeine. Until next time, thank you so much for watching and happy New Yorking.